Welcome to Capitol Preview, a weekly bipartisan discussion with Iowa legislators about the key issues facing our state. Brought to you by Mediacom.
Welcome to another edition of Capitol Preview, a program that profiles our state senators and representatives on important issues to them and their constituents. Our guest today is Senator Chaz Allen, Democrat from Jasper County. Chaz, good to see you here this morning.
Glad to be back. Thanks for having me.
So what's going on up there? I mean, you've been up there a week. Things, you've had your ceremonial days up there, and now you're tomorrow you get in. It's Martin Luther King Day today, but you're going to get into the thick of it tomorrow. So
well, last week was routine. The governor came and gave his State of the State speech. The Chief Justice gave his State of the Judiciary, and I guess we kind of went and greeted everybody again and kind of got a shakedown on the governor's, what he believes the budget should look like, and now we'll start seeing what the Republicans in the House and then the Democrats in the Senate, what they believe the budget will look like in the coming year.
It doesn't look rosy, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's going to be a tight budget this year. There's no doubt about that.
And we know that, I think, unless you just have not read a newspaper in the last year, we know probably the number one issue is going to be education funding.
It will be education, and a lot of I believe the House is going to send over early this coming week a 2% proposal, and we had sent over a 4% proposal last year, and I believe the governor came out with 2.45. So if I was a betting person, it's going to be between 2 and 4% this year.
And so what do you think of the likelihood that you'll get a deal struck this year on?
I think there's a great latitude to get this done early this time. I think nobody wants to drag this out like we did last year. In all the forums and things that I've been to with others, it seems like there's a willingness to get this done early and then move on to the other issues we have to tackle.
Have you started getting some pressure from lobbyists or support groups in regards to the educational funding?
Well, there's always the people that are out there supporting, a higher amount, a lot of the teachers and things like that.
Right.
I think and of course they want more, and we can only do what we can fiscally do.
Right.
So I think, and having a balanced legislature like we do with the House as Republicans, Senate as Democrats, we'll have to compromise to move forward.
Tell me what, I'm going to jump or change gears here a little bit too about water quality. That's another hot issue that people talk about. Some people are educated as to what the water quality issue is, some are not. So why don't you run through that real quick and then kind of tell us what you think how the legislature is going to approach.
Well, right now, there's the nitrogen reduction strategy out there, and some don't feel like it's happening fast enough. And the biggest way to solve all of this is just lots of money, which we don't have. But what I like about what I'm seeing now is the more people are bringing ideas to the table. So in a way we'll be able to have a buffet of ideas that we can cherry pick the best things out of and make something happen. I think the actions that happened last year with the Des Moines Water Works and the counties up north, it spurred something. I don't necessarily agree with what it did, but I think it spurred a lot of people with a lot of discussion and a lot of ideas. I mean, the Des Moines Partnership's got ideas. The governor's throwing his ideas out. We've had the ideas in the past, the 3/8 sales tax. The governor's was extend the sales tax for schools and take some of that. So I think there's a lot of ideas out there, and I don't know which one's the right one yet, but there's a lot of people working on it, and I think we'll come up with a good solution.
So I think, and not to editorialize or to give any opinions on the show's behalf, but this water quality issue has been something that's been kicked down the road in Iowa for a long time. I mean, regardless of the Des Moines Waterworks.
And it's kind of ebbed and flowed. I know in Jasper County over by Rock Creek we used to build dikes that went down, and then that money wasn't funded anymore. I know the governor didn't like the $20 million 3 years ago. He took that out. There's been efforts and then the reduction in efforts, and I think right now it's come to the forefront that we have to do something. And what I like about the Des Moines Partnerships idea is they put benchmarks in there so that you have a guideline and can see how much it's reducing. So we'll see what happens.
Well, water seems to be an issue not only in Iowa, but across the country right now. California is suffering from a drought, so their issue is different. But it's funny how such a common element, water, has caused such a
And we've had plenty of water this winter.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
all the rain
Right.
that's gone on.
Exactly.
I think we'll see what that's going to do in the fall. If we have a big snow and it thaws, we could see the water rise here in Iowa.
Well, Senator, I'm going to hit you with another big one. It seems like we got all the big ones right off the bat here in this new legislative session. Medicaid privatization.
Right.
Why don't you kind of go through that a little bit and say, kind of give your idea or explain a little bit what the governor's proposal is?
Well, the governor's proposal is privatized it, which I don't think there's any one of us that don't want to see a more efficient, more effective, Medicaid system. We all want that. I think we felt like it was pushed out too fast. People were going to fall through the cracks. And I think it's the governor's prerogative to do this. It's the money that goes to Medicaid, he has sole. There's no legislative oversight on that, and that's what we're looking for, is some more legislative oversight. And it's because when we go back to our districts, we see those people and they come to us. And we need to have a way into those private companies that we can say, hey, this isn't being handled right, can you fix this? So I guess that's our biggest concern, is a lot of it is, and maybe it was naive of me in my first year, but a lot of the stuff that I've dealt with over the summer has been through DHS and Medicaid and things like that. And most of the time it's just a miscommunication between the person and the organization, but we want those resolved because those people are in the most need of help at the time. So there's been a lot of things that we've worked on this summer that deals with that. So I'm starting to see the need for an oversight, a little more oversight on that, just so we can make it effective for our constituents.
Sure, that makes sense. Obviously, all of these kind of come up to the same bottom line: is we have a slim budget this year. Mm-hmm. There's not much room for this budget. So how do you think that's going to go up there? If you were, I think I know the answer to that, but I kind of just want to see what you're.
Well, I think once we get education out of the way and get a benchmark on what we know we're going to fund education on, I think there's obviously going to be some reductions in some things. I think we all agree with that. We all know that. We're all from Iowa. We know we've got to get a budget that's constitutionally right, mm-hmm. And falls within the law. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to do that. But it's going to be tough. There's going to be some decisions made up there by both Republicans and Democrats that aren't going to be liked by everybody. Mm-hmm. But we're sent up there to govern and make sure we put a budget out that can withstand the test of time for Iowa.
I was curious in what your philosophy is, because it's my understanding, and I've heard it from other senators and House members, state senators and House members, that they want to get the big issues done first this year. That's their different philosophy. So, do you have any kind of
I'd agree with them.
insight on?
I think getting the education piece done right away, so we know what we're going to budget for the rest of the state or agencies and things. I think that's going to be critical as us moving forward, is getting that done. And it's the right thing to do. We haven't done it for the past several years, is getting that out. And then we're still not addressing 2018's budget right now, and I hope we do. Yeah. But schools are going to start putting their budgets together, and I believe they're due in March, and we need to have the number to them so that they can make the decisions they need to make on their school districts. Yeah. So that's what's driving us, and we've been told by most, I think all the superintendents agree that we need to get a number soon rather than as important as numbers.
Well, I think it's, as somebody that's up there and somebody that sees the process, I think it's a great philosophy, because I think a lot of times when you push complicated things clear to the end, it makes it very difficult at the end to come up with.
Well, and I saw last year some things that we felt were important that got dropped off because those big issues ended up at the end of session and people wanted to get out of there, that there were some issues that we should have addressed last year and didn't, because we were still talking about those big issues in June, which that's not a good thing to be doing.
I'd be remiss, Senator, and certainly if you have anything else that you want to throw in there for conversation, feel free, but I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about, because everybody's talking about it, is the Iowa Caucuses, which are coming up on February 1st. And I just kind of like to get your read on that a little bit. It's a huge economic development thing for our state. It puts us on the map. I know you're obviously a political person, so I just would kind of like to get some of your
Well, this will be the first year I've been in a caucus, because up until this year up till March of 2014 I was an independent. So this would be the first time I go to a caucus, and it's exciting to see the debate last night, and then whether you're Republican or Democrat, they all come through your community. You get a chance to see all of them, shake their hands. Martin O'Malley was knocking doors. Marco Rubio's been through Newton several times and Altoona. If you have a pizza ranch in your town, you're going to see you're going to get a candidate come through there, and that part's exciting because whether you're Republican or Democrat, you get to see all of them. Yeah. And one of the things when I was mayor, I'd want to make sure I didn't endorse anybody because I wanted all of the candidates to come through, Republican or Democrat. I wanted the people in Newton to see them. Right. And it was a fun experience because one day you're with, at that time it was Mike Huckabee, and the next day you're with Bill Richardson. It was fun that time, and I think a lot of people in Iowa were fortunate that we get to see all of those candidates face to face, shake their hand in blue jeans, in suits, whatever. You get to see the real person.
Absolutely. Yep. So there's talk about that the caucuses will eventually kind of lose most favored status in the nation. Do you think that that's going to happen? Or
I know we're going to work very hard to make that not happen. Yeah. I think both leaders of both parties work together to ensure that we're the first in the nation on this. And it's important because going into a caucus is a lot different than just checking a box. You've got to go in there and argue for the person that you believe should represent us. And I think that's a personal way to do it, and it just seems like I think losing that first in the nation and going to a checkoff box or something like that would be the wrong thing to do for our state. Yeah, we really like to have Uncle Nancy's Coffee, Smokey Rose. They're all there. They all go in there and they all talk and they give their spiel about why they should be president, and that's a good thing not only for Iowa but for the country. Yeah, it's a very unique thing, and we should be very proud of it. Well, thank you for joining us this morning, Senator. No, glad to do it. It's been fun. And thank you guys for joining us. This Capitol Preview is brought to you by Mediacom. And stay tuned for our next guest, Senator Charles Snyder from Dallas County.